Thank you, Mr. Chung. Thank you for the introduction. Distinguished guests, honorable speakers, dear friends. My name is Parth Sharma. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, Executive Director of ING in Korea. ING has been here in Korea for 30 years. I have been living in Korea since 2004. This is my 10th year in Korea. And during this 10 years, I have tried to interact with the automotive supply chain, suppliers based in Korea, as well as the major auto OEMs based out of India. We had planned for this seminar, given the business developments in the automotive industry in Korea since last year. And we are really fortunate to have amongst us a distinguished panel today of speakers and of participants from the supply chain industry. Please allow me to quickly introduce our panel members. We will start to my right. We have Mr. Icck Kim, the CEO of Tata Commercial Vehicles in Korea. We have Mr. Hemant, Senior Vice President and the Chief Purchasing Officer from Mahindra. We have Mr. Bharat Parekh, Vice President and the Chief Purchasing Officer. We have Mr. Won Hee, the Head of Purchasing from Ssangyong Motors, Korea. To my left, you have already listened to the presenters. Thank you very much for your presentation. To my left, immediate is my good friend, Mr. Sean Ryu, President and CEO of SH Global. Mr. Hong Yoon Chan from Yongdong Tech. Mr. Cho Hong-shin from AutoZen. And we have Mr. Ho Shoyoung, CEO of TMC. Thank you very much. I was warned at the beginning that this session should not. My apologies. We have to my right a very eminent panelist, His Excellency Mr. Rawat, who is the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Embassy of India. My apologies. I was warned that this session should not delay lunch. So it's going to be very challenging. However, we will try to make it as direct as possible. And as I mentioned, we are really fortunate to have an eminent panel of speakers today. So most of the questions will be directed to the right-hand side of me. Let's start this session. We have generally seen and heard that the Korean supply chain, the Korean automotive supply chain, is a very vibrant and dynamic one, and almost matches the technology levels of German and Japanese for the requirements of Indian technological requirement, and is also very price competitive, probably 10%, 11% lower than the Japanese. Of course, with the depreciation of the Japanese yen, a lot of these things have changed. So Korea is a very strong competitor in the auto supply chain industry. Now, however, participation of the Korean supply chain in India has been slower than expected, much lesser than its potential. My first question would be to Mr. Bharat Parekh from Tata Motors. Mr. Parekh, how do you see this Korean supply chain share of your procurement increasing? What are the immediate difficulties or areas of challenges?
Despite the fact that we have Tata here, which with a lot of product development also. As far as Tata Motors global operations are concerned, I think the Korean leadership is not anything very significant as of now. There are a lot of efforts taken by the Korean trade development by Tata themselves. And after joining us, I think a lot of suppliers who are competitive also possibly have been lured to have business with Tata Motors global operations. The major difficulties that I see, and this is out of my personal experience, I have been personally responsible for hosting Kotra-promoted trade show for the last 3 years at Pune, which is Tata Motors main center of development. I think total something close to about 60 Korean suppliers did participate in this trade shows, which had a product exhibition, which had all our buyers, all our engineering people, and marketing people also visiting the show, followed by technical discussions with our R&D. As of today, I can see about one joint venture getting into production out of this entire exercise, and maybe 2 more would follow in times to come, which to my mind is a very, very poor strike rate. Difficulties, I think what feedback I get from Korean suppliers is that they are finding India as a somewhat unknown and strange territory. They do not know how to navigate themselves around in India, whether it is language, it is cultural difference, what it is something that we still need to figure out. But this is one of the major reasons why they find it difficult to get a JV partner. There are cases where I have gone out of the way and I said, okay, we will find you a JV partner where business is more or less guaranteed. I still saw some bit of reluctance in the Korean suppliers. I went one step further ahead and said, we have companies known as the Tata Automotive Component System, which is an arm of Tata, which is essentially created to serve the component requirements of Indian OEMs. And why don't you tie up with them? I put your across to them and maybe you can work out a kind of product plan and a JV plan, etc. etc. And they're still not done this. And I think the only thing which somebody came and said, if Tata Motors is willing to tie up with us, then we're willing to put up a plant. So I see a lot of skepticism in terms of either the market potential or they're able to trust people, they're able to navigate the regulations which we talked about earlier, etc. etc. But I see a great amount of reluctance in Korean suppliers to really come and put forward something in India. And typically, both for Tata as well as Mahindra, primary requirement is I don't see it as a Korean company that sets up base in India, produces in India and give it at the right cost, otherwise Korean cost possibly in the Indian market would not be affordable. And there are a lot of positives which are there to it. I think Mr. Emmonsika pointed out earlier. There are a lot of people who put up R&D base here in India. And I think that's something that the Korean companies are missing out in terms of looking at what scope the R&D can have in India. In fact, yesterday we were in the technology company in suburb of Seoul. And suddenly I found the person who's running that is a technology company only, he does only R&D. He says, I'm allowed to have IIT engineers. IIT is Indian Institute of Technology. And he says, I heard quite a lot about the technical strength of this particular institute. And I would love to employ this kind of engineers if they are available in Korea. The point was that we still were looking for them to be available in Korea, not in India. So that's what I think is the mindset which needs to change.
Thank you very much. Please allow me a follow-up question. The view from the Indian side, the OEM side, is that the suppliers in Korea have a short-term approach. Quick profits, do not have a long-term plan, and risk-taking ability to enter the Indian market. But from the Korean side, supplier side, the question is more, in India, the price is very competitive. Of course, India will be a future hub in the compact hatchback section, small and medium. It requires a lot of investment. There is no commitment from the Indian OEMs in terms of volumes. So unless there is commitment, there is a reluctance to set up a huge investment. Quick question here, the Germans have been very successful in India with the largest amount of JVs. Would you be able to share some thoughts on what model the Korean suppliers should adopt, whether a 100% participation model or a joint venture model, which is the way, as you have seen from your experience going in?
I would put it this way, the Germans actually came in maybe about 40-50 years ago in India, and today they have the largest number of joint venture units operating in India after the end of 40 years also continue to remain as joint ventures. Japanese model has been somewhat different. They started with joint ventures, then Suzuki came into India and then quickly changed over to buying up those units and running it as a purely Japanese-owned companies. So I think it is each one's own liking as to which is the model that they would like to adopt. Germans started with the technical collaboration, so to say, that they didn't want to invest money, but they wanted only possibly the right technology, and I think Indian entrepreneurs were quick enough to grab with that. It's later on calculated as business group went into joint ventures, etc. And they continue to go together also. So I think it is depending upon your ability to take the risk, you can decide any of the models. The Indian government and the regulation have been very open in terms of allowing you 100% ownership or whichever way, whichever split you like. I think that is possible for you to do.
Thank you very much. We'll come back to you. The next question is for Mr. Sika. Mr. Sika needs no introduction to Korea. He was involved with the purchasing team of SsangYong Motors and has played a very, very significant role in developing the entire purchase program. Mr. Sika, your thoughts on how Korean suppliers could play a bigger part. I know SsangYong Motors has done significant steps, and you have gotten into cylinder heads, water pump, engine glass. How can the Korean participants, suppliers, play a bigger role in your future models, U301, S101? You could share some ideas, and also what different approach do Korean vendors take to catch up with the other players?
So I think Korean suppliers actually have to catch up because the Germans and the Japanese they are ahead in India in terms of setting up infrastructure, setting up shops and various customers. So Korea is late in entering into India, but the good thing is that there is always growth still to happen in India and Western parts. I think from my experience of having worked here in Korea and now coming very regularly in Korea and dealing with quite a few of the suppliers present in this room, there is very good technology available in India. The quality levels of Korean suppliers is the best that you can get anywhere in the globe. They want to set up shops in India, but I think there is some lack of that final decision making where you have to go ahead and sign a deal. That's where there is some lack of speed that I see in the Korean suppliers. From my experience, I believe that India is a difficult place to do business. You can look at any of the world survey and business, ease of doing business survey in India, and you will find that India is ranked among the bottom portion. So it is a difficult place to do business. The regulations not at the policy levels are any hindrance, but at the operating level there are a lot of hindrances to run a smooth business. Language is an issue, culture is an issue. So I always recommend to all the Korean suppliers to go with the JV, get an Indian partner, and there are various ways to get an Indian partner. If you have Korean customers who have shops in India, for example, in this case for us, SsangYong is on a local base. So SsangYong and Mahindra team are talking to each other almost on a daily basis. So we can recommend to you Tata Motors as good base to Tata Ballroom, they can recommend to you. And both Mr. Venkatram and myself have lived in Korea, so we have a very soft corner for Korean suppliers. We can always work very closely with. So first thing is to go with the JV angle. It makes life easy because there are so many challenges. Let's not start more challenges by going 100% alone. It's very difficult. Some people have done it, they have done it very successfully, but the challenge is difficult. It's not that it is impossible, but it is difficult. Go with the JV route, get to know with the partner, and then the next step I have always seen is, do the Korean suppliers want to play long-term in India? You want to have long-term business in India and make money and grow the business in a long-term fashion? Or you want to quickly make some amount of money then there is a limitation. Because then the business will not grow, your JV will become very uncompetitive. If you charge very high technology fees, if you charge very high for the equipment that you sell to the JV partner, the JV will become so uncompetitive that you won't be able to get much business in India. So important is that you should be looking at a long-term potential in India. As I showed in my presentation, at 3.2 million vehicles, the penetration of vehicles is only 38 per 1,000. And with the GDP going up, as you start hitting the level of $4,000 per capita GDP, the real motorization in India will happen. So that means you have to not look at India for 3 years or 5 years. You have to look at India for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. That is the growth you want to participate. And I really feel this is what Germans and Japanese have done. When they came to India, India was hardly anything. I showed you in the presentation the history of industry in India. Very small. But they started taking up calls about 15 to 20 years ahead of time. And they made the business competitive. So please look at your JV partner with a very long-term strategy, and you have to support it, make it competitive, and then money will happen. Business will happen, growth will happen. But you need to be a little bit patient in the first few years. And secondly, Mr. Pata, I want to add that when we deal as OEMs with OEM companies, OEM joint ventures in India, we still get the same kind of quality. We don't see quality improvement by OEM companies coming there. And then when I go into detail, I find that OEM partners are not supporting the Indian partners in training their people. They are not supporting in giving the process knowledge. So why do Indian customers go to a Korean JV? Because we are not getting quality. But if the quality is still old, then there is no point going to a Korean company. So you have to support the process knowledge, training of those manpower, bringing them here, getting them work in Korea in your company so that they learn and they go back. And that's how you can see that the business will become very strong. You don't have to do any selling. Customers will come to you. And that's the way of doing business. And growth will happen.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the insights. I think you have also highlighted in your presentation and the discussions that today setting up base in India is a must. Also because of the performance of the Indian rupee, and which will continue to face pressure because of high inflationary environment in India. Today imports are becoming more and more expensive. So setting up base in India is a must. The best way to do it through a JV or through 100% direct participation. Mr. Sikka, the question is, can the OEMs play a role in helping the Korean suppliers guide them through this process in the overall interest of the industry to help the Indian OEMs produce better results? Will you share your thoughts on this?
Absolutely. I mean, I can speak for Mahindra. Mahindra is very, very keen that we have many more partnerships between OEM suppliers and the Mahindra suppliers. We are very keen. In fact, our chairman, Mahindra, is an honorary investor for Poram. So he keeps checking with me all the time on how many businesses are we signing up, how many joint ventures are we signing up. So Mahindra, I can report to tell you that we are very keen to bring Korean suppliers to India, and we are fully committed to going to that.
And how will you do that?
We have already done that. In the last 1 year, we have been facilitating a lot of partnerships, whether it is the technology agreements or it is the joint venture agreement. It is not right for me to bring a few names here, but there are suppliers sitting in this room who have benefited in terms of getting a JV partner, working through the Sanyo Mahindra partnership. And we will continue to do that in future years also.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very, very positive comment. Now, before I go to the Korean supplier side, panel members of our table, one quick question to Mr. Parekh. We have seen the Korean side suppliers being very keen to participate in your future programs that Mr. Venkat presented today, this morning. How can the suppliers participate in the platforms, in the RFPs for your Zest, Bolt, and the Nexon platforms?
Maybe Zest and Bolt are something which I've already done, but as Victor showed, I think we have 6 new platforms which are coming up over a period of time. And some suppliers from Korea are already participating in the RFP process in Korea. We are open. The advantage of being able to have the data organized that we do our own R&D, and so we don't depend on any joint venture partner to really dictate us to use this supplier or this technology, etc. So we are open to look at any technology as long as it makes sense in terms of its cutting-edge nature of the technology as well as the cost, which is absolutely important. So they definitely can participate at the RFP stage today. They can approach either to Tata to us in terms of what is the area of interest. We have this one-on-one meeting right up today, and I'm sure that we will capture interest of some of the Korean suppliers today in terms of what is it that they would like to offer to Tata Motors. But as I said, we are absolutely open for all the new programs which are coming in. We are at the RFP stage today, and it's right time for Korean Motors to really come up with their interest in participating in all these programs.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, question for Korean supplier side. India is a cost-competitive market, and India will be a hub. You have listened to the figures, you have listened to the market size, you have heard Tata is spending 4.2 billion in procurement in 2004. Now, there is actually no excuse for not being cost-competitive. The prime question we hear is the commitment from the Korean suppliers in making competitive quotes. I would like to ask Mr. Sean Drew, what are your thoughts on this? What are the obstacles? It's true that the material is different because in India it's a different material you use. What are your thoughts on this, and how could we move forward? How can you be more cost competitive? Because to play in the Indian market with a long-term view, cost is an important factor. Let me say price. What do you think? How would you like to address the situation with technology, or what's your message to the Indian?
It was very unexpected question, so I didn't prepare that.
Thank you.
Yes, we do not have any business in India right now, but well, we are trying to answer for the RFQ for a few times, and our cost was not very competitive at the time. The Korean supplier wants to go to India, and we don't have any project yet that we got awarded yet. We must go to India and to know about India more, so that we can get the exact number and amount of labor cost and material cost before we get the project from India.
Thank you. So I think the question comes down to getting more information from the Indian OEMs. Now, it's very imperative for Korean supplier base to go to India. I have interacted with various suppliers, and because of the business environment here, with some OEMs could possibly downsize in Korea, some Korean suppliers are left with excess capacity. And probably the European market, the American market, the OEMs are more closed. China is becoming increasingly difficult, so India is a tremendous opportunity for Korean suppliers to participate in the market. My next question is for Mr. Cho, from CEO of AutoZen. We have heard that the Korean supplier base is looking for committed volumes, guaranteed business to set up an investment, to start an investment in India. What do you think are the clear obstacles from your side, or I may actually request you to represent the views of the Korean supplier industry at large. If you could share the problems or the obstacles you have in entering the Indian market, so that we can try and find some solutions to address it.
예, 오토리언 대표이사 조홍진입니다. 사실 해외 시장에 고객이 없는데, 고객이란 사전 네트워크가 없는데 들어가서 성공한다는 건 굉장히 어렵고 힘든 일이라고 생각합니다. 특히 이게 저희 같은 경우에는 아까 저희 수장님이 말씀하셨듯이 신기술을 가지고 들어가야 되는 기술이 일단 확보가 되는 것 같고요. 두 번째는 이제 자본 문제가 있을 것 같습니다. 자본이 상대적으로 상당히 많은 투자가 요구되어지기 때문에 고객이 어느 정도 볼륨에 대해서 대런티를 해주지 않는다면 그 시간을, 물론 저희 서플라이어 입장에서도 시간을 가지고 충분히 기다려야 되는 건 분명한 사실이지만 그렇게 기다릴 정도로 저희가 여유가 있는 건 아닌 게 현실인 것 같습니다. 그래서 어쨌든 그런 성공 사례들이 많이 나와야지 코리아 서플라이어들이 주저하지 않고 그 시장에 들어갈 것 같고요. 또 저희는 계속 기술 개발을 해서 가격 경쟁력을 확보하는 건 저희의 목표인 것 같고요. 어쨌든 어느 정도 코리아 서플라이어들이 인도 마켓에 적응해서 또 어느 정도 수익을 낼 때까지 위해서는 볼륨에 대해서도 대안을 좀 해주시는 게 좋을 것 같고, 그런 과정을 통해서 성공 사례들이 있다면 충분히 한국 우리 업체들이 경쟁력을 갖고 진출할 수 있다고 생각합니다.
Thank you very much. We have amidst us in this panel Honorable Deputy Chief of Mission Mr. U.S. Rawat from the Embassy of India. My next question is for you, sir. How does SEPA play a role in promoting this business or in interaction between Korea and India? Because what we have heard from the business side is that the current SEPA helps in two-way trade, in import and in export, but it actually acts as a barrier for joint ventures. You may not be so specific, but do you have some thoughts on how we will improve the situation through government intervention?
I would like to first highlight that this is the first economic agreement that Korea has with any of the BRICS countries, like Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and China. So, and this agreement came into effect a little over 4 years ago. And it is right that there is a perception that it is more towards the trade side and less towards the investment and services. And both the countries are already in the process of reviewing the agreement, and we are expecting that we will have a meeting very soon at the level of Commerce, our Commerce Minister and Trade Minister of Korea to actually revise it and make it more effective. And I would also like to highlight some issues here which are not directly related to SEPA. We have heard the eminent speakers earlier today that why Korean companies should be more interested in India and have greater presence in India. This Indian market, the growth, and also talked about competitiveness and engineering technical skills in India. One reason which I didn't hear earlier is the need for diversification. The international business is growing very fast, and as Mr. Park said a little earlier, that for example the Chinese market is becoming more difficult. Especially in the auto sector in India, we have a lot of presence of Japanese and German companies, not so much from Korea. And with the international environment in which countries or companies cannot afford to rely only on certain areas, India becomes a great advantage point also from diversification to reduce the business risk.
Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have 10 minutes left for this panel discussion. I would also like to invite some queries from the audience. We have close to around 200 members of this audience today. please feel free to ask some question which is important for us to address in this forum. While we take questions, please raise your, stand up, raise your hand, and our Indian Chamber of Commerce member will facilitate the question. While we wait for participation from the audience here, I have a question for both Mr. Sikka and Mr. Pare. Well, while interacting with the Korean supplier base, one of the hallmarks for the growth, for development has been extremely high quality. Today, Korea, a lot of Korean suppliers actually produce that near zero defect ratio. Now, for that premium, for high operational cost, of course, the cost of operation should efficiency because of improvement in efficiency, price should go down. We see a clear-cut difference in expectations of price. Is it possible to bridge this gap somewhere, to come somewhere in meeting, come somewhere in between, with a high quality, zero defect, looking at the total cost of ownership, and somewhere balancing with the price? Do you see some model developing in the future, or your thoughts on this?
Clearly, there is a very famous saying that quality comes free. Basically, as customers, when we are looking at buying parts, whether it is from an Indian supplier or Japanese or Korean suppliers, we are expecting very good. So if quality is 0 ppm, that will give you repeat business, that will give you new projects, but I don't think any customer will give you any premium pricing on quality. Quality is table stakes. You have to give quality to get into any customer. So I don't think there will be a premiumness to this. Premiumness is always on new technology. If you are in a commodity business, which is a old technology, obviously competition is going to be very cutthroat. But if you are in a new technology area, as we have seen in the case of any new technology, let it come smartphones, anything, when they come, prices are so high and then the prices go down. So there is always a price premium to a new technology. But that also, the life cycle is going down. You cannot command price premium for a very long time. So you have to keep innovating, keep improving your quality. It is the same difficult word for auto customers. We have to keep improving our quality, keep improving our cost down. So it's a very competitive world. Auto industry is a very, very challenging industry. Whether it is a supplier or it is a OEM. Everybody has to keep innovating and keep reducing costs and keep improving quality. But answer to your question, Mr. Sharma, is that there is no price premium on quality. Quality you have to give what you get.
Thank you very much.
I think one thing that I would like to add is that at the end of the day, it is a competitive business. We have choices not only to go to Korean vendors, we also have choices to go to Japanese or German or Indian nationally. So I think quality is a hygiene factor, and that is something that if it is not made, we don't talk business. The second thing that I would like to point out, while we say industry at times, whether the quality or the price, is the kind of logic that we use when we work with our local vendors for quality improvement programs. We work out the cost of quality for each of those vendors, and the substantial amount of money they miss by producing bad quality stuff. And the first way to possibly get cost reduction from a supplier is to implement those quality, and then they ask you to produce it at a low price.
Okay, thank you very much. Today in the presentation by Mr. Venkat pointed out what are the expectations from vendors, and I was looking at all the three areas. One particular strength of the Korean supply chain industry is the ability of most of the suppliers to offer end-to-end solutions, right from design, development, validation. Do you see a strength here that Korea can further exploit to be competitive and in cost?
Yes, clearly that's true. We believe Korean suppliers have very good strength in end-to-end solutions. Most Korean suppliers do back-end engineering and they are able to develop the part and then do full testing validation. So from OEMs like Mahindra and Tata, where we do our own engineering, that becomes a very good strength in the supplier. So we value that very much. The other point that I want to add is that Korea as a country has a very good brand in India. And that's because of the good work done by Hyundai in India and Samsung and LG. So basically in Indian consumer, whether it is an OEM consumer or an individual consumer, Korea has a very good brand. And I think that's a very positive thing for Korean suppliers. When you come to India, you don't have to sell yourself, you don't have to sell your country as a brand. So that's a very, very big plus for the Korean suppliers. And that makes the task much easier for Korean suppliers to get their foothold in India.
Thank you very much. That's a very, very encouraging statement. I think today, as we see Mr. Sikka and Mr. Barak, Tatas and Mahindras are very keen to buy from, participate with, work engaged with Korean suppliers. One key question before we wrap up is for Mr. Kim, from our CEO of Tata Motors, and also for Mr. Wong from Sanyang Motors. You are the leaders and the users of Korean supplier products. What is your thought? What's your contributing thought? How can Korean supply a base position itself in the Indian Union?
Most of our suppliers, like all of our Indian business, 그건 사실이에요. 우리가 인도에 가고 싶은 건 사실인데, 지금 인도 제가 볼 때는 그렇습니다. 제가 중국 생활을 나왔습니다. 우리가 중국에서는 상당히 우리가 쉽지 않은 것이에요. 많이 있고요. 인도에서는 이제 기회가 있는 것 같은데, 인도에서 지금 필요한 것은 사실 하이테크라고 하기보다는 생산 기술, 또 퀄리티, 컨트롤 이런 능력이 아닐까 싶습니다. 사실 우리 내부를 따져보면 한국도 농촌 기술이라든가 이런 데 이렇게 나라가 아니죠. 과거에 보면 저희 어렸을 때도 우리가 인도 제품하고 우리 비교를 하면서 1%가 부족하다는 얘기를 저희 어렸을 때 한국 제품. 지금 인도에서도 그렇습니다. 1%가 부족합니다. 그러니까 그 1%를 우리가 채우는 그 역할을 하면 현재 투자 관련해서는 기업이 이제 investment from our supply still depend on the supply industry. Of course, they are very difficult to find a partner, and their initial business is quite important. 그래서 지금 우리가 가다가 지금 현재인 여기 상종이나 타타에 납품하고 있는 업체들도 그래서 무시할 수가 없기 때문에 그런 업체하고 이렇게 조인트해서 하는 것이 서로 우리가 리스크 줄이고 또 우리 여러분들이 투자하는 것에 대한 리드백도 쉽게 받을 수 있고 이런 것입니다.
세 번째 인사드렸습니다. 다른 부분에서 국내 업무장을 하고 있는 분입니다. 저는 어떻게 보면 자연스럽게 1년 동안 타다에 있으면서 인도 곳이 됐고, 최근에 다시 인도상공회의소가 진행합니다. 저는 솔직히 저희 여기 계신 모든 국내 인도사신 사장님께서는 좋은 기회를 하고 있답니다. 그러면 제가 설명을 봤을 때 특히 우리 해운대 시가가 한국의 금매수기 때문에 한국 자동차 산업에서 너무 다르습니다. 그렇기 때문에 한국 자동차 부품 업체의 어떤 능력이라든가 어드밴티지를 잘 알고 있었습니다. 그래서 저희들이 엔진 프로젝트를 처음 시작하면서 항상 저희들이 단품 하는 게 아니고 프로젝트를 시작할 때 처음부터 저희들이 RF를 사무업체, 또는 인도업체, 공이 저희들이 판을, 소프트웨어 판을 갖다 리뷰를 하고서 그에 따라서 RF를 줬습니다. 거의 저희들이 구매 금액의 엔진 부분 구매율의 70% 해당하면서 30% 정도가 저희들이 상호 추천을 했고, 그 중에서 한국에서 거의 많이 가져왔습니다. 발표처럼. 마찬가지로다가 제가 보기에는 이 글도 마찬가지입니다. 근데 제가 권장하고 싶은 건요, 여러분들이 프로젝트를 갖다가 처음 시작할 때부터 들어가야 되는데, 그거는 자연스럽게 타타레오나 아니면 쌍용 자동차가 여기에 윈도가 있습니다. 타타 모터의 윈도가 여기 보면 타타레오가 되고, 그 다음에 쌍용 자동차의 윈도는 마인드라의 윈도는 평균자가 됩니다. 저희 같은 경우는 일주일에 한 번씩 텔레프레젠스라고 해서 일주일마다 팀장들이 공유기전입니다. 어떻게 하고 뭘 할 거고 어떤 일을 할 거고 그럴 경우에 여러분들이 가장 이건 하이텍하고 있으면 가만히 있어도 오히려 시작합니다. 그렇지 않은 경우는 조금 하이텍 오리엔티되고 그다음에 생산기술, 공법이 좀 괜찮다. 내가 인도 들어갔을 때 언제는 3,400명 되지만 앞으로 중국처럼 1,000만 대 된다. 이런 기준을 갖고 일을 하신다면 저희들을 통해서 커뮤니케이션이 쉽게 될 수 있고 그거에 따라서 상당히 많은 어떤 기술이 있을 거라고 봅니다. 그래서 저는 인도가 현재는 3,400명 대가 안 되지만 필수에는 2,000만 대 이상 올라갈 거라고 기대를 하고 있고 거기에는 농촌으로 본다면 중국처럼 하이텍 갖고 있고 우리가 어떤 기술을 살리려면 상당한 포텐셜이 있다고 봅니다. 여러분들께 있는 오퍼레이션을 절대 놓치지 않으면 고맙습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the insight. I'm getting very friendly calls from Edward asking this thing that we have overshot the time. However, is there any question from the audience? Any one question we should be able to take? Okay. I'll not hold this session any further from lunch. Thank you very much. Both to the eminent panel, the speakers, and distinguished supplier forum. Today, as our ambassador Prakash said it in the morning, the relationship between India and Korea is at an all-time high. With the recent visit of President of Korea, President Park, India and Korea are set to achieve new heights in economic relationship. This is the time for the Korean supply chain industry to engage with Indian OEMs, which will be one of the biggest market in the future. And today you have seen the encouraging thoughts, the positive attitude of the Indian OEM automakers. So I urge both sides to work closely, and I must also comment that Mr. Parekh commented that I am personally the most non-productive businessman he has met, because we have not helped Tata OEM, Tata with any joint venture Korean partner yet. So the Indian Chamber of Commerce will work much harder. This is the beginning of a tremendous relationship, tremendous business part, and also my colleague, Mr. Dilip Sundar from Mahindra, will offer a platform for engagements. So please work with all of us and give us your thoughts about this forum, and we will take this initiative further. Thank you very much.